Happy Monday, guys, and welcome in here to WagerTalk TV. This is Puck Time for January 22nd. 3 games today: Jets, Bruins, Knights, Devils, Panthers, and the Predators. Of course, I'm Andrew. I have Carmine with me, and I hope you all were able to enjoy Saturday's edition of Puck Time. It was our first time doing a little quick Puck Time for Saturday. I appreciated all the nice comments you guys left. So we think we'll do that moving forward. So guys, if you didn't see it this past Saturday, look for it next weekend. But Carm, a big weekend across all sports. I hope you had a great one. Any quick thoughts, and what are your thoughts on Bruins and Winnipeg Jets?
Weekend was good. Of course, Bills Mafia lose yesterday, so unfortunately they're out of the playoffs. And as I mentioned, it really didn't bug me, which is the weird thing. I didn't even emotionally hedge it by betting KC. I just watched the game. When it was done, I left, came home, did some work, ran some numbers, and watched a bit of the Leafs game because we had a client play on that. They won. And then just moved on with it. 5% winner on Saturday in the NFL with the under in the Baltimore game. So continue to run a good overall, the plus 82 or 83 units in the NFL. So hope to keep that going. The 6-60, we got off to a 4-0 start on the 6-60. In the last couple of games, puttered out. We didn't get the over in the Calgary game. Anaheim somehow lost to San Jose Toothless Sharks, who found 5 goals or whatever they scored in that game, 6 goals. But a 4-2, 6-60, we'll take it, and we'll move on to next week or to this week and Saturday's plays, and hopefully go 5-1. Andrew, what a game to start off with. This is such a weird card tonight, and I landed on a couple plays. We're not going to discuss either one of them, I believe, but this Winnipeg game, Winnipeg and Boston, and I watched the game with Prez yesterday, the Buffalo game. He invited me over, insisted I come over and watch it. And at the end of the game, he's asking me some questions about NHL. And he's asking me about the Winnipeg Boston game. I'm like, look for a 6. If you can find a 6, take the under, because it's going to be at 5.5, either overnight or in the morning. And it is 5.5, shaded 15 cents to the over. Right now, it looks like Hellebuck and Swayman in goal. And I get it. People want to auto click on over 5.5s all the time and they look at the Bruins and they're like, well, they just scored 9 goals against the Canadians. They just scored 5 against Colorado the game before that. The difference here is Winnipeg is a very good defensive team. In fact, they've only allowed 100 goals in 44 games this season. They have the number 1 defensive record in the NHL, and they're full 12 goals fewer than any other team, which is the LA Kings at 112 goals. And then Pittsburgh comes in at 116. They're playing very well defensively. Away 11-7 and 2 to the under. Overall 23, 15 and 6 to the under. So you know where I'm going here. But I'm going to take it one step further. I'm not going to take the full game under. I'm going to take the first period under, because both teams have a winning record to the under and plus units to the under. Winnipeg is plus 13.05 units if you're betting their first period unders, and the Boston Bruins are plus 2.3 units. It's not a lot, but it's profitable. So at the end of the day, you're just trying to make money betting them, and anytime you can get plus numbers on both sides in a certain situation, I think you got to take it. The under in the first period is 1.5. Minus 105 on the under. So you're laying very little vig. It tells you something when the over is minus 115, when we normally see 1.5s at 160, 170. This one is 115. I'm going to take the first period under in this game, Andrew, and look for a slow starting game or a tight defensive game from a Winnipeg team that is well aware that the Boston Bruins have scored 14 goals in their last 2 home games. I'm looking for a tight one here, and Winnipeg could actually steal this game. Slight lean as well to Winnipeg at plus 110. No disrespect to the Bruins, but Winnipeg is having just as good a season as the Bruins, and you're getting plus money on them. But the play as far as this game goes is the under 1.5 first period.
I love it. I like that first period play, Carmen. You're right. Sometimes you get a good price like that. It's like that for a reason. And definitely a battle between two teams of different conferences that should be very defensive. Of course, last meeting was 5-2 or 5-1, excuse me, in favor of Winnipeg. But you're right about this Bruins team. You know, the goals they've scored recently at home. And look, unfortunately, I had to watch a majority of that Boston and Montreal game on Saturday. Kind of lost my attention after the Bruins reached their 7th goal. But as a fan, I'm always trying to watch, even with football and other sports on. And that was just a bad defensive game for the Canadiens, but the Bruins had an absolute outpour of offense. Everybody getting involved. Heinen with a hat trick. This Bruins team definitely playing well at home. But I can't believe this right now with Winnipeg. They're unbeaten in regulation since December 12th. And my favorite part really is they've allowed 2 or fewer goals in their last 14 games, 3 or fewer in 34 straight games. I mean, to me, everyone's talking about the Edmonton Oilers here in Canada or in general with the NHL in the Western Conference. The Winnipeg Jets, I've been saying it for a long time now, deserve more love. They deserve more attention. Even though they're at the top of the league in the position that they're in, they deserve more recognition, I believe. I know that great streak that Edmonton's on, but this team is still unbeaten in over a month here, it feels like, in regulation at least. And realistically, a lot of the games that they're playing that are super tight remain low scoring. I believe sometimes you play 2 games that are just so high scoring and back and forth like Boston played. It was a good win for them against Colorado, but they caught Colorado in a 3-games-in-4 situation. They catch Montreal having a horrible defensive game, run the score up on them, put up, I believe, like 9 goals. To me, this is a Winnipeg team that should be more focused. I like this spot here for Winnipeg. They've been playing good games, you know, both defensive games, both low scoring and high scoring. But their consistency to me is the key. And Boston still hasn't shown me that consistency one game to the next. Would not shock me to see them score 9 goals in one game against the Canadiens, who are clearly not even close defensively to Winnipeg. And then Winnipeg come in and just shut them down the same way they did last time they played in Winnipeg. So as you can tell, Carm, I like Winnipeg here. I like the plus 110. I like getting the underdog. Clearly, I don't mind the under either because I think it correlates here with the Winnipeg Jets. But I'm going to grab the underdog here at TD Garden. I mean, give me a plus price here on a team like Winnipeg that's playing as well as they are defensively. I can't pass it up, even with the Bruins scoring the way they are. So I'm going to rock with the Winnipeg Jets. And I just think that they're a team right now that every single game, they don't get a lead and protect it. They get a lead and keep on going and keep on scoring, but they're very aware defensively. And, you know, I'm going to say it again, Carm. What do you think about this? Like, I think that this is the last chance, really, for people to get their futures in on the Winnipeg Jets. I really do. If you want anything to do with the Winnipeg Jets come postseason time, probably the last time you can do it to get a decent number that you'd want to deal with. What do you think?
Yeah, as you were talking, I was just going to look up the futures right now because you've talked about some futures and there's been some good ones. So I'm seeing Winnipeg right now. It's still at plus 1200, so 12-1. The Oilers, believe it or not, if you took the Oilers, Andrew, probably about 3 weeks ago, you probably would have got about plus 2000, 20-1, and now they're the favorites to win the Stanley Cup
Yeah.
at 7-1 odds. It's actually unbelievable. And then you got the Winnipeg Jets and Vancouver, and maybe people are expecting these teams like Winnipeg and Vancouver to have some regression at some point. Maybe there's the thought process, which I, with the Oilers being plus 700, it doesn't make sense what I'm about to say, but that, the fact that the Stanley Cup hasn't come north of the border in like 30 years or whatever, that they're not going to get it. Because you got the Vancouver Canucks who are plus 1,500. And if, here's another thing, Andrew, about futures, and I don't know what the price is, but how do you not give at least halfway through the season Rick Tocchet the Coach of the Year award? What's it? The Jack Adams? Is that the Jack Adams Trophy, right? How do you not give it to him halfway through the season? The way this guy is coaching, there is no I don't see any odds on the Jack Adams Trophy, unfortunately. Up here, they only have the Norris, Vezina, Calder, Rocket, Richard Trophy, which looks like it's Sam Reinhart versus Austin Matthews, but Austin Matthews minus 250. I wouldn't take that, even though he does win likely at this point. I don't know. 12-1, Andrew. You could be right. If Winnipeg keeps winning, if at the 60 game mark they're still in first place in the West, or first or second, I think you're going to miss the boat on the 12-1, and they go under 10-1.
Carm, I've already missed the boat on 18-1 when I mentioned on the show like a month and a half ago. So that's the toughest part about futures, I find,
Listen,
man. You see a good price, you don't bet it, and now I don't want to jump back in, right? Because I missed the good number.
I was completely wrong in the Winnipeg Jets. They made those offseason moves, got rid of some players, and I'm like, I don't think this team is even going to make the playoffs. And it is just they are playing some very good hockey, and it's defense first. In a league in which we expect a lot of offense, look at the teams that are doing extremely well, and teams that may have not have done well last year, like Vancouver, Pittsburgh Penguins, the LA Kings, but they're playing defense. When you have Winnipeg, I think 44 whatever games, and they've only allowed 100 goals. The Pittsburgh Penguins, a team that at least myself, I don't know about you, Andrew, I thought, wow, they picked up Eric Carlson. What have they done for? What are they going to do on defense if they're an offensive team? And yet they 116 goals. They have the third best goals against average. When you play defense, you win games. The Edmonton Oilers. Why are they on a 13 or 14 game win streak? Because they, under this new coach, they have learned to play defense. They have learned a new system and adapted to it and are winning games. So I in the playoffs, we know in the playoffs, defense wins. Teams who are offensive juggernauts during the regular season and don't play defense struggle in the playoffs. I know one team specifically, but I won't mention it.
And a big indicator of that, Carm, is that we see a ton of 5.5s as totals come April, right? Compared to the regular season, we see, maybe one every day or two. Couple days we'll see a 5.5. Usually if there's a huge slate, there's maybe 5.5 as a total, but in the playoffs it's every single day. Let's get to Golden Knights and New Jersey Devils. I'm seeing minus 120 for this Devils team, 6 being the total for this Vegas Golden Knights team. We have seen 5 of their last 6 games go under the total. For the Devils, 4 of their last 5 games have gone under the total here. And taking a look at the injury updates, of course, we still have Jack Hughes out. We still have Palat out. Dougie Hamilton is out. Brendan Smith is out. You got a decent amount of injuries as well for the Vegas Golden Knights, but 3 straight wins for them, man. Nashville, New York, and Pittsburgh. My bye team last week had a great week. I can't really say the same for the sell team, but the bye team looked good, Carm. What do you think about in this one?
I think everyone knows where I'm going here, Andrew. I could just go on to the next game. Okay, during that 3-game win streak, for the Vegas Golden Knights, they've had the lead at the end of the first period in 2 of them. They and a push in the other one, scoreless first period. I talked about the Dallas Stars going into New Jersey, and I was going to take or the play was to just take the Dallas Stars in the first period because New Jersey at home. In 21 games, that was 21 games. It's now 22 games where they've only had the lead once at the end of the first period. It's now, twice. Now it's still twice, but in 22 games, Dallas had the 1-0 lead, and that one go on to win 6-2. I don't know what it is about New Jersey at home and these slow starts for them, but they are now 2 wins, 10 losses, 10 pushes. If you're taking the away team's money line, you've only lost twice. You've won 10. Doesn't sound like a lot in a 22-game sample, but you've got 10 pushes. I'll take 10 wins over 2 losses anytime when I'm betting a prop bet, and one where more than likely you're getting plus money on that prop bet as well too on the money line. With that said, also Vegas, not the best first period numbers, but still 6 wins, 10 losses, 6 pushes in the first period. For them, that's their road record as far as first periods. I'm going with Vegas. Just give me the Vegas money line here. The game is minus 120. It opened at 125. A little bit of money came in on Vegas. They're even money. And I'm going to assume that there are, having a quick look here, that they are going to be even money for the first period as well, too. Nope, you got to lay $1.05 on the two-way money line for Vegas. And I'll still take it. Minus 105 Vegas, two-way money line. That's my play.
I like it. I like those plays. And you've had a lot of data this year on this Devils team, Carm. And I like how you started things off saying, you guys know where I'm going. And you know what? As Andy Lang always says to me, if you find a play that works for you, keep going with it. Don't go away from it. And I've been betting some overs lately, team total overs, full game overs. But on this show, I'm liking unders. And not just because of, those numbers I mentioned in the intro with this game, looking at both these teams trending towards the under lately. But more importantly, it's just how these teams are playing. This New Jersey Devils team, I understand coming off that loss against Dallas, giving up 6 goals. Nico Hischier says, we got outcompeted. We did not play our best. I believe they just worked harder than us. And to me, that's a quote really you want to look towards an under. The next game following a game where you get your ass kicked like that, you're going to see a huge emphasis defensively. I'm not sure New Jersey bounces back offensively. I'm not sure they can create chances. They're struggling. 2 wins without Jack Hughes, 3 straight losses at home, as you mentioned. To me, this is the Devils team struggling to score. But the Vegas Golden Knights, I said it last week, and it was last Monday I said this, when they were struggling to win games and they were losing, it wasn't because of their defense. It was because of their offense. And they found their offense now, and their defense is still playing well. So you look at some of their games, they allowed just 2 against Pittsburgh in back-to-back games against Nashville and the Rangers to give up just 1 goal. And even in defeat in some games recently, like Colorado, they've gone under the total. So I think, despite the win or loss for this Vegas team, they're going under here. And this Devils team, their offense has certainly slipped with the injuries they've had. I'm not going to overthink this. I like getting the under 6 in this spot. I think these two teams that are not as familiar with each other because they're not in the same conference, I think it's an early slow start, which benefits you. And I think that we'll go towards I like your lean. I like your spot. I agree with you, but I'm going to go with just the full game under here. It's very similar to me, Carm, when Kaprizov went out. I keep on saying this, but it's giving me flashbacks like the Wild. And you look at Bedard, like when Bedard, I mean, it's a whole different story. Don't even get me started on this Blackhawks team. But you know how it is. Like sometimes when these teams have key players go out, it might not be a good idea to just bet against them. It might be a better idea to just bet the unders for those games. What do you think that these teams that just lack offense without their best players? Can't hear you.
I lost the bet. I lost the bet on under a half mutes today on the show. I'm already down money. Geez, and I went grocery shopping today. If you, that's being down money because of inflation right now. You walk out with 3 bags and it costs you $200. With that said, Andrew, I get it. Listen, you look at obviously Bedard's back on the ice. Bedard's back on the ice, but who knows when he's going to be ready to go. But when these guys come back, there is an uptick on the scoring stuff. And you look at Minnesota as a perfect example. Kaprizov's back. I watched a good portion of that game yesterday before I took off, and he looked good out there. He ended up getting, I think, the empty netter for the hat trick, I believe. And they're a different team offensively with them. It's funny because and we're going to get to a buy and sell after the third game. I'm interested to see you have, but don't fall asleep as bad as they may have looked on the Minnesota Wild, because with him back in the lineup and them scoring goals, winning 2 of their last 3 and against 3 very good teams on top of that in the 2 teams out of Florida, Tampa and Florida, and then of course Carolina, that's usually a tough trip for any team. They've got Washington, Nashville Predators, Anaheim Ducks at home their next 3 games. They've got the Chicago Blackhawks after that, Pittsburgh Penguins and Vegas, and then Arizona and the Sabres. There could be a win streak and a long win streak ahead for the Minnesota Wild, Andrew. So I'm putting a stamp on it now that the Wild are going to string some wins together, and Gustafson's back as well too. So they need him in goal. Let's get to the third game.
It sounds like that's a buy team for you, Carm. So an early look ahead there. Okay, I'll be keeping an eye out on that team, Minnesota Wild, and you probably get some good prices on them as well. Our last game we'll discuss before the buy and sell segment and a little bit of best bet action. We've got the Panthers and Predators -125 for the road favorites, the Florida Panthers. Total at 6 in this one. About even both ways, under and over. If you want the puck line, -1.5 is +200 for this Florida Panthers team. Florida is struggling right now, man. 4 straight losses. And, I wouldn't really say against great teams. Minnesota, Detroit, Anaheim, New Jersey. Meanwhile, Nashville has been kind of a win one, lose one type of team. And currently, no Nick Cousins, no Barkov, no Will Lockwood for this Panthers team, Carm. But having said that, I ran through some numbers last night. I was looking at some expected goals against, excuse me. I look more towards the goals against expectancy than the goals for. I just kind of I think that those numbers can slip a lot faster than the goal scoring ones can. And I just wasn't really impressed with Nashville's defensive numbers. And I know they have a good goaltender, and I know that they have the capability of shutting teams down. But a lot of their games you look at, you scroll through some of their games they've played, when they've played against even mediocre teams, they're giving up goals. You can't allow Anaheim to score 5 goals on you. You can't let some weaker teams put 3, 4, 5 goals on you if you want to be a respectable defensive team. Florida's coming in this game. They are absolutely pissed off right now. There's no better way to put it. They are not happy in their last couple games and the performances they put forward. I know they have some injuries, guys, but I'm confident with the lineup they have offensively. Reinhart, Verhaeghe, Bennett. There's so many guys out there. Kachuk contributes. The defensive core contributes. It's been a whole show so far without me mentioning a team total, guys. This is the first one of the day. Over 3.5 at +115. Some shops do have +120. Team total for the Florida Panthers. That's my play here in this one, Carm. Team total here for the road favorite Florida Panthers. What do you think?
Well, Andrew, how does 4-1 sound for Florida? Because it would align with the fact that I do like it would align with the fact that I do like the under in this game. Florida 7-2-1 their last 10 away games. The Predators are on a 4-1 under run at the moment. I'm not sure if that's lack of scoring or the fact that they're also playing some better defense. And this is why we're seeing the 6.5s now become 6s with a little bit of vig. The total here sits at 6, and I think it could get there. It could very well be one of those 4-2 games that ends in a push because of the empty netter, which gives you the win and gives me the push. But 4-1 works for both of us. I think the under's got to be the player. Saros and Bobrovsky are slated to go for both teams, and it's been an under type of day for me on this show right now because I lean first period under in the Bruins game. In the Vegas game, I really didn't have an opinion on that. I took the first period, but I know you do like the under there, and I like the under in this game as well too. We will get to a show best bet where I like another under as well too. The Grand Salami. Speaking of which, when I went grocery shopping this morning, Andrew, I ordered some spicy Genoa salami. So that's why we're talking about salami on the show now with a couple nice paninis and some provolone cheese. That's my lunch today. The Grand Salami's at 36.5. I am almost, I haven't bet a Grand Salami at all this season, and I might lean to the under on the Grand Salami because as I look at these games, I just don't see that 1 or 2 games. I see like maybe one game, but I don't see 2 games where there's going to be like a ton of goals that can completely flatten taking the under. So with that said, the Grand Salami, I'm leaning to the under, but that's just a show lean more than anything else. Give me the under 6 in this game, Andrew.
I like doing those bets every now and then. When you're going through a card and you find yourself liking a lot of a certain total, it's like, you know what? Let's not go with one game. Let's go with every game to the under, and you get that big number. I like that one quite a bit. And 3 good games here, Carm. My favorite part about this Monday slate is there really aren't that many games with monstrous prices. There really aren't. A lot of manageable prices as far as the money line is concerned for us to make some wagers, not have to deal with some high juice. But there is one game, Carm, with quite a bit of juice here, and that would be the Vancouver Canucks, now minus 440 against the Blackhawks. And I wanted to read off something really quick that Ralph Michaels sent to us. NHL favorites of minus 400 and higher have gone 86 and 22. That's 79.6%. But with an average line of minus 455, they have lost minus 15.4 units and minus 3.1% ROI. Guys, what that tells you is they're not really the best parlay leg. They're not the best bet to make. They're not the best puck line because realistically, these teams do get upset. And hockey's one of those sports where you can have a minus 400, but they might take that team lightly. You know, you might see an Arizona or a Chicago or some of these teams over the years with massive, massive upsets against really good teams. So be careful. If you do want to take some of these major favorites, make sure you find a way to bet them wisely. But please, I'm sounding like Don Buster here, Carm, but stay away from those massive minus 400 favorites. There's just no need for it. And you can try and protect your bankrolls that way. I found that was very interesting. 86 and 22, guys. That's the record with these minus 400 or higher, but minus 15 units, Carm, is a pretty crazy number.
You know what? I wanted to mention it, but sometimes it gets lost in the waste with all of these scribbles I have on my piece of paper here about the Florida game. But it's a good thing I am continuing to follow along in the chat and stuff. And Rich mentioned it, and I looked, I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't even talk about it. It's not a handicapping angle, guys, but it's the dad's trip for the Florida Panthers. And we've seen some teams go on these dad's trips actually sweep their opposition in the 2 or 3 games that they've played. I think the Calgary Flames were one of them as well, too, on their dad's trip, where I think they won all 3 games on the West Coast. So if you're into that, I always like the mom's trip better than the dad's trip because the last thing you want to do is disappoint your mom. So with that said, it's the dad's trip. Rich H, thank you for reminding me of that. We'll see how that one goes. So if you want to buy the Florida Panthers today on their first game of the dad's trip. And speaking of buy, hello, Mr. McInnes. Can we get your buy and sell?
Yes, Carm, we can, and it's also it's a mom's trip for the Ottawa Senators. So I know it's the Ottawa Senators, but keep an eye out for that one. As you mentioned, you don't want to disappoint your mom, and they did win yesterday on Sunday in a pretty good game. So let's jump into the buy and sell segment, guys. It was a pretty good one last week, especially for the buy team with the Vegas Golden Knights going 3-0. We'll see what we can do here with this one. We'll start with my buy team, and guys, this might be every single person that bets on hockey's buy team for the next couple of games here. Started off with me yesterday with the New York Islanders. Patrick Waugh takes over as the head coach to get a win in overtime. It never makes sense to me, and I will never understand how different teams play under a new head coach. But sometimes you need a refresh, a restart. You can't fire all the players on the ice, but you can fire the head coach, get a new face in the room, a new voice in the room. And I believe this Islanders team does have a ton of talent. And they were playing under their capabilities. So I do think that they can play well. Schedule coming up for them. They have the Golden Knights. They have the Montreal Canadiens, Florida Panthers, and Maple Leafs. I believe that game. But besides the game against the Canadiens, you're going to get some great prices on those. And hopefully this Islanders team gets on a roll here, continues to play well defensively, but finds that scoring touch and cashes us some bets. I'm tired of being on the sidelines. I'm tired of waiting till the 4th or 5th win for these teams. When they fire their head coach, I want to get on it. Minnesota did it. Edmonton did it. All kinds of teams this season. St. Louis did it. It's time for us to cash in with the buy team this week, New York Islanders, guys. The sell team here. And this team's had a great season. I've been impressed with them. It's great seeing teams develop and grow over the last few years. The Arizona Coyotes have certainly played much better hockey. Hell, they've been on the brink of a playoff spot. They in some spots this year, they've actually been in a playoff spot. But a lot of that has to do with their goaltending. Connor Ingram and the duo they have over there in Arizona have been some of the best goalies in the league. All these advanced metrics tell us that, they're saving so many chances that most teams would just score on. Most goalies would not save. And it's really impressive to see. But with the Pittsburgh Penguins, Florida Panthers, and the Lightning all on deck here, it's the last game tonight of a homestand for the Coyotes, and they go on the road for the Florida double. I believe they're in for a tough week. So I am selling the Arizona Coyotes. That's my buy and sell segment, guys. Hopefully we can make some money betting on and against these two teams. Carm, any thoughts on these buy and sell? And what do you have for us tonight for a best bet?
Yeah, I definitely like the Islanders one, Andrew. I didn't look too much into the Arizona one, but I just have to figure at some point the Coyotes will start to tail off, and I think they may sell one of their goalies. Speaking of sell or trade one of their goalies come the trade deadline, but we'll see if that happens because there's some teams that are in the market for a goalie. Case in point, possibly the Carolina Hurricanes that who did they pick up? They picked up Spencer. Was it Spencer Knight they picked up? I think, Andrew. Yeah, maybe you can tell me. I thought I saw him on the bench for Carolina, but they're in need because of the whole Freddie Anderson thing, and obviously the health issues that he's going through. He's likely not going to be back. So if they're making a run for the Metro and in the playoffs, I think they're going to need a good 1-2 line, goalie combo. But the Islanders one, I like the move, Patrick Waugh. I think Patrick Waugh would have been a fantastic coach to have in Toronto. Maybe he could get a little bit more out of the Leafs. Some of my friends who are Leaf fans, Andrew, absolutely thought Patrick Waugh would have been great in Toronto, but we'll see what he does with the Islanders. But I completely agree with you. There's usually like an uptick after the coaching change, and teams play differently. They play better. Maybe the coach loosens the shackles a little bit. We'll see, or tightens them, like it has happened in Edmonton, and they're playing absolutely phenomenal hockey. So we'll see what happens there. Now, as far as tonight, two plays up in the NHL. I'm going to have an NFL play loaded as well too later on in the day. And then I've got a big card for the NHL tomorrow. So there's some great deals that you can take advantage of. But one of them is the one that you might have seen on the screen earlier, Carm75. Carm75 is the code to get 75 off a 30-day all access package. Champions League returns in about 2 weeks time. Plenty of soccer finally kicking off. I took the whole month off essentially because there was very few games and it was slim pickings. So I have plenty of NHL, still a lot of NFL as well to go to. So a lot of action going. My free play tonight is going to be on the San Jose LA Kings game, under 6, -120. I'm sticking with the unders here. A couple reasons for this, but obviously the Kings have struggled a little bit. San Jose found a little bit of scoring, but they're 13-10-1 to the under away. Profitable if you're betting them. The Kings on a 6-3-1 run, their last 10 to the under. The Kings might do all the scoring tonight. Another great spot to take maybe the San Jose team total under, but I don't see them getting to 6 in this game. I like the under. So we'll try and start the week off with a show free play winner with the under 6 in the Kings Sharks game tonight.
Love it. And sounds like it's a big under night, Carm. So we'll see if we see all kinds of defensive games, but you and I looking for a lot of unders here on the board for tonight. And guys, Carm's been red hot in the NFL, so look out for his NFL plays for the 2 big games coming up next weekend or this coming weekend. But looking forward to the NHL slate, guys. I've won 4 straight in the NHL. Super excited. Also had 4 straight prop winners in the NFL this weekend. So I have a promo code as well, and that is Access7. You use Access7 to take 30 days off a 7-day all-access pass. You'll get the occasional hoops play from me. You'll get daily NHL plays. And, of course, you're going to get all of my NFL plays as well. My best bet for today is going to be involving in the Pittsburgh and Arizona Coyotes game. Well, I mentioned my sell team for this week is Arizona. I'm going to go with the under team total at plus 100 for the under 2.5 here. You know, everyone talks about Connor Ingram with this Coyotes team. Well, Tristan Jarry is actually having a great year. And even though Pittsburgh gives up a ton of shots, they're 7th in the league in goals allowed. They do not give up that many goals. They're a very defensive team, actually, and they've only gotten better as the year has gone on. With this total being the way it is, I want to just stick with the team total under here. I'm not sure what Pittsburgh will do tonight offensively, but I have a feeling they will shut down the Coyotes defensively. Under 2.5 goals for the Coyotes, plus 100 even money price here. I love it, and it's a late night matchup here for all of you guys interested in a late night play. Great stuff here on the show. 2 promo codes, a bunch of plays and best bets. Make sure you find all of our favorite plays over at WagerTalk.com.